Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. A big warm welcome if you're new. So this is a really fun compilation of everything gnome, from miniature and tree deck gnomes to sock gnomes and glowing gnomes. This video will be all the gnome inspiration you need and it will teach you how to make it all, so I really hope that you enjoy. So this gnome that I'm making is the first type of gnomes that ever came out. It's the sock gnome. So I started off with a sock and rice, just filling the sock up with the rice, and I used a wire just to tie the sock together. You can use a hairband. Then you're going to grab and form the nose like this. You can use again a hairband or wire just to tie that in place. Then you're going to grab another sock and cut it off at the ankle area, then roll it on to the bottom of your gnome. Next, I'm filling a red sock with some old cushion stuffing just to give it shape. Once you're done, take your sock and pull it over the gnome's head right up until the nose. And this is optional. I just decided to cut the top of a white sock to add to the bottom of the red sock just to make it look more like Santa's hat. Then I'm taking a white pom-pom, adding my hot glue to it just to stick it to the top of the hat, and then this really always brings the gnome together, creating the beard and sticking that on. I also really love taking makeup and adding that to the nose just to give it a bit of colour. And it's that simple. There's your gnome. This is the traditional way of making the gnome, nice and easy, really quick. You don't need that many materials either. For the second gnome, I'm going to be starting off the same way, taking my sock and filling it with rice. We're going to be making a mop head gnome. Again, this is going to be a nice and easy one, very inexpensive. Here we're just tying the sock, and I'm just actually using the sock to tie it. So this time I'm not using a hairband or anything like that. Now maneuver the sock a little bit so you have kind of like a dip in the sock, and that's going to be so we can place the mop head on top of it. So I'm just going to take my glue, and you need a generous amount here. Place it inside your dip and then take the mop head and secure it on. Hold it so that it sets. Then you're going to take another sock and place it on top of the gnome. Of course, this is the gnome's hat. Now you see my sock has a little bit of green on the tip where the toes go. I'm going to take a hairband and I'm going to turn it into like a pom-pom. So I'm just tying it up to create a little ball. I've divided the hair so that we can find the face of the gnome, and we're going to be sticking his nose on. For the nose, you can really use anything. I'm using these roly-poly balls. They're like styrofoam balls, and I'm using glue and just covering it in glitter. And then you can take your hot glue and add it to the ball, then add the ball right under the hat and place the hair back just to cover it up, and there you go. Really simple. What one is your favourite so far? DIY number 1 or number 2? So you're going to be starting off with some gloves, and we're going to be cutting the fingers of the gloves to make our little gnomes. Next we're going to stuff the fingers that we've cut, and you can do this with anything that you have. I've just got some of this cotton wool pleat, so that's what I'm going to be using. Once you're done stuffing your finger, we're going to just hot glue the top, and then we're going to be adding the hat on. For the hat, we're going to be using our glove. Seeing as we've already cut it all up, we want to make the most of it. So if you can get like a patterned one, something that looks a little bit different to the body of the gnome, that will look even better. So I've just cut this little bit here, and I'm going to attach it to the top again with my glue, just sticking it at the back all the way to the top. So you can see here, this is the opening of the hat. So I'm just going to twirl it around like this. Keep twirling just so that I've got a nice finish to the top, and then just glue that little bit down. Now you want to create his nose. For that you can take some small wooden beads. I've got these ones, or you can use a bit of clay. We're just going to stuff it under his hat with some hot glue, and he really comes alive when we do this. Now we're going to create his beard, and to do that you can use lots of different options. Just use whatever you have, whatever's cheaper. I mean, the gloves you can get from Dollar Tree, from Poundland, so these mop heads as well you can get from there. This is just some scrap pieces from another gnome that I made, and we can just create his beard using this. So if we take a strand, you can see it's made up of 3 threads, so you can just separate them like this and then group them together. Let's get a few more, and then because we're dealing with a small gnome here, you want to just half it like this and then glue it on. Another little idea here for the beard, you just cut a piece off from this different kind of mop head, and then again just separate all the thread. Just going to pull it, and then you've got something that looks like this, and then you're going to half it like that, stick it right under his nose, and then cut it to size. So I'm going to make a few variations. You can also use faux fur. So I've got this one here, it used to belong to a coat actually, and I've used it already for a gnome. So I'm going to be making use of all of these different types because I've got a few gnomes here that I still have to make, so I'm going to do that off camera now that I have shown you how to make one. And this is how all 5 of my little miniature gnomes came out. They all have different material for their beards and also different styled hats. Now we have completed our little miniature gnomes, I'm going to give you a few ideas that you can do with them. So first off, you can just take some string. This was just off some packaging. You can cut its size, create a loop, and stick it inside the hat or behind it, and that way you have some nice little miniature gnome tree ornaments. So here it is. Kitty's got a lot to say about it, I think, too. How adorable are they? The next thing you could do with your miniature gnomes is to make a wreath. I am going to be using some of this mop again. I'm using quite a lot of mop in these DIYs. And I'm going to just wrap it around the wreath. I am doing a small miniature wreath. It's completely down to you what size you do. I'm just trying to do a few projects in this video, so I thought working with a smaller size will help me get through quite a few. But I also do really like the miniature sizes. This is just a bangle, by the way. Sometimes I use some curtain holders to make small miniature wreaths as well. So I'm going to keep doing this off camera until it's all completely covered. My wreath or my bangle is all covered now. I'm going to take some embellishments. I have these snowflakes. They have the sticky adhesive at the back, but I'm going to use hot glue because they're really not sticky at all. So I'm just going to add a few to decorate, and then I'm also going to be using some berries. I've got some here, I'm not sure which one I'll be using. And then we're also going to, of course, take one of our miniature gnomes and stick him on the wreath as well. I've decided on the bigger berries, so I'm just going to take my pliers and I'm going to cut its size. I'm going to add some glue to it, and then I'm going to stick it from the back of the wreath, just at an angle. I'm taking another snowflake, just adding that to the wreath, and then lastly just going to hot glue the little gnome on the side, and then we're done. And here's the finished wreath. It's so small and adorable. This is pretty simple, so it's just for an idea. You can go bigger and more elaborate if you like. The next thing I want to show you that you can do with your little gnomes is make a garland, and I'm going to be taking some twine. I think I might go with the red one. And this is really easy. All you're going to do is take some pom-poms. I have these white ones and they also have glittered bits in there. And then you want to take your gnomes. I made 5 in total earlier, And then we're going to just stick our pom-poms on and our gnomes onto the string, whatever you're using. And just like that, you're going to keep going until you have the length that you want. I'm going to just stop here because this is an example, but I'll show you what it looks like in detail. And here's my mini garland for my mini gnomes. It's definitely jolly and bright, so it's very befitting for Christmas. Now for the next idea, I wanted to show you how you could turn these into some really nice cute gifts. I've got this little gift box. They're usually used for earrings and jewellery, so when you open it up, you just want to remove what's inside. And then let's take one of our gnomes. We've got this one here. The next thing you want is some wrapping paper. I'm going to go with a star one here. So we're just going to open it up and cut it so that it fits the size, and we want to create a background basically. Once you have your little bit of wrapping paper, you can just put it inside with some glue stick. I actually haven't used any glue because it just slotted in perfectly. Then we're going to take our gnome and just place him inside. Make sure that you center your gnome when you place him inside the box, and you can add some hot glue on the back, or the bottom rather, just so that he can stay in place and doesn't move around. So you can leave it like that and just place the lid back on top and you've got a really nice gift. Or you can also add a keychain so that he becomes a keychain. So there's mine. You can just add it to the hat, to the top of the hat. And then there's also another possibility here with these brooch pins. You just hot glue it just here at the back on him here. Oops, and then you have a brooch. So that's another option if you want to customize him a little bit more. And this is how it's come out. I really love this. I think this one might be my favorite and maybe the one to come. Now we're coming on to my last idea. I used this from a previous DIY, but you want to get yourself some kind of platform. You can use a wood slice log, for example. Then you're going to take some moss. I'm going to be working with two different shades, a darker green and a bright green. So you're going to get your glue ready and you're going to cover the base entirely with your moss. Then you're going to want to decorate your base. I've got some mushrooms here, or toadstools, red and orange. I also have this, which I got from the thrift store or charity shop. It's a bauble that somebody decorated using pine cones and some other natural things, and they spray painted it gold. I'm going to be using the pine cones, and I'm also going to be colouring them white. I'm going to start off by removing the wires because I just want the mushrooms. And then we're just going to glue it in place. I'm just going to add a little colour using my acrylic painter pen so that it looks kind of like snow. I think it needs just one more. So let me just remove all of the hot glue from that. And then lastly, you're going to take one of your miniature gnomes and stick him wherever you like. I'm going to stick mine here. And here's the last DIY and the final idea for today. I really love this one and the last one before it, the little miniature gift. Those are my favourites, as well as the gnomes themselves, of course. Let me know which ones are yours in the comments below. Now we're going to be making a faux beard. So you're going to need something like this. This is a piece of material that I've got. And seeing as this is Christmassy, I thought the white beard would look really nice. So I'm just going to cut like a triangle piece so we can stick it on to the jar. So I've got my little piece cut out there. We're going to use the hot glue to attach it to the jar like this. And you can see it covers quite a lot of the jar, which is good. Then you're going to take a bead. You can actually use a pom-pom as well, or whatever you've got basically. Like you can have a little ball, the poly balls as well, like the foam ones, you can use that. You're going to take that and we're going to use it as his nose. You're going to stick it down right in the center like that. Okay, I'm going to take the little triangle that we cut out earlier and we're going to finally add it under his nose. So you want it to be right under like that. It is funny with gnomes, they look like nothing, but when you start building and putting him together, look, it's starting to really take form and shape now. So again, just taking the hot glue, I'm going to add it all the way across. And I've actually not stuck this down, I just added it to the top of the fake fur. And this is how he looks. Right, we're going to give him little feet, little arms and a hat. For his little hands and feet, I'm going to be using this sock here. It's very festive, it's an actual Christmas sock and it's all fluffy. So I'm going to make little hands using these as well. These are actually, you know, the little human pegs. I actually got them as a mistake. So I thought this will, you know, come to use now and hopefully can act as a little hands. If you don't have these, you don't actually need them. You can use little beads like this as the hands. So I'm going to cut some of this material, or rather this sock, and I'm going to wrap it around those little pegs. So just like this, taking this little piece and we're going to use the hot glue, wrap it around, and then you've just got his little hand poking out. And then I've got some excess there, so I'm just going to stick it down and then cut it off. And there you go. So when you've got your two arms ready, take your hot glue and you're going to add them to the side of your jar. Just like this. It's so cute, I can't wait for him to be finished. Now, something I forgot to mention, which is really important, is to make sure that when you're doing the beard and the nose, that you have stayed clear of the bit where the lid goes on top of the jar, because you're going to need the lid and you're going to need the access, because we're going to have the candle lights inside. So I'm just making sure that I can screw that on and off and the nose doesn't get in the way and the beard doesn't get in the way. Now take your hot glue and add it to the lid. So I'm doing that all throughout the entire lid there. And then I'm taking a piece of felt. So I've actually added a white piece of felt on the red felt as well, just to make it look more like a Santa's hat. And then I'm adding it to the gold lid, just sticking it on like this. At the moment he looks like a little cook or a little chef, but he's going to look like a little Santa gnome once we're done. Next you're going to need some toy stuffing. Now if you don't have this, feel free to take some from an old cushion. That's a great way to recycle them. And you're going to take the toy stuffing and place it inside. This is just going to give it some shape and form, and then we can cut the felt and shape it to look like a hat. So I'm going to start rolling the felt pretty much, and then we're going to stick it together so it looks more like a hat, cutting off any excess material. So just make sure that you get the point at the top like a triangle. So I've just carried on wrapping it and gluing it together, and as you can see I've got this excess, so I'm just going to be cutting that and then the hat will be done. So I'm just taking a tiny little white pom-pom here, and I'm going to add it to the top of the hat just to finish it off. Isn't he really cute? Now we've just got his feet, and then we will just add the tea lights and we will be done, and I just can't wait to see him finished. To make his little feet again, I'm going to be taking the socks that I used earlier for his arms, and I'm going to just add a little bit of the toy stuffing, and what you're going to do is just hot glue it, making sure that none of the toy stuffing can be seen, and you're going to just have a little ball. It's going to be neater than this, and then you're going to add it to the bottom of the jar. So I'm just going to go ahead, taking my glue gun, adding some of the toy stuffing. Again, that's just to give it a little bit of form because it will just be really flat otherwise. Once you have the toy stuffing inside, just take your glue gun and kind of close it up a little bit. And it looks like a little booty. Look at that. So I'm just doing the same thing for the other boot, taking a piece of the sock material, adding a little bit of the toy stuffing, and then taking the two sides, taking my hot glue just to close it all up. Now you're going to take your little booties, add some hot glue right here so that you can secure it on the bottom of your jar, and the beard should be covering it a little bit just like this. So there's the other one, and it's going to look like that. And I'm just sticking down the other little foot. Now once you've got your gnome all done, it's up to you what you fill it with. You don't have to be taking tea lights and adding light inside. You can add some chocolates, for example, and I think that this would make a wonderful gift as well as decor, or if you craft to make and sell, this is also a really good idea. So I'm just going to screw the lid. There we've got the gnome without his hat, and then I'm going to add my tea lights inside. I'm actually going to add like 2 or 3 just to make it super effective. How magical does this look? I've made a lot of gnomes but never one that lights up, so this is a first for me, and I just think for Christmas adding lights to projects just makes it that much more mesmerizing and magical. And you can place him in a scenery just like I did. I think that just looks a lot more cuter, and this is how he looks with the light on. I actually left the tea lights in him still, so that's why it's glowing a little bit. Okay, so I'm starting off with a wood log. You're also going to need an embroidery hoop. So we're going to take the bottom, add some glue, and stick it to the wood slice. Then you're going to grab 2 trees, and we're going to stick one at the back, and I'm using 2 green ones. It's up to you what colours you use. There's so many available now, and it's also down to you if you want to use the base. I am going to keep the base on there, adding some glue and sticking that right at the back. And I'm sticking another one, and it's smaller in size, as you can see. Now I'm going to embellish the bigger tree at the back just with a star topper. These are wooden, and sometimes I take my markers and I colour them in, but I'm keeping this as is. For the artificial snow, it's completely down to you what you'd like to use. Sometimes I use some cotton, sometimes I use some felt. This time I'm going to use some pom-poms, which I don't typically use, but I don't know, I kind of wanted to add a little cute and fun aspect to it. So go ahead and take your glue and stick those down as well. Now the reason that I have left a little area here is because I'm going to make a miniature gnome, so I'm not sure how much space he needs. So to make your miniature gnome, this is going to be pretty fun. I have done this once before. I am taking a glove and I'm going to be making a finger gnome. So what you want to do is cut where the finger is. And then you want to take some toy stuffing or cushion stuffing and fill that up. Now at the top, add your glue and stick it down in place like this, just grouping it together. And then we're going to move on to making his miniature hat. You can use your glove, just taking more of the material you're going to stick this together on the sides first. And then the top, just pinch it together like this, just how we did with the body. And there you've got a little hat. How adorable is that? We're going to add a little pom-pom, which you don't have to do. You can just add some twine around here if you like. But I'm going to take this small pom-pom that I did get earlier, Scum Walkies. I'm adding a small blue pom-pom just at the top. Then take the two pieces, place your hat on top of the body. Take your glue, add a small amount on the front. Then get the hat over it. And then roll it up a small amount. You can add some glue. And just roll it up like this. And you're going to take this small wooden bead and stick his nose right under the hat in the centre. You're going to take some faux fur in whatever colour you want and cut its size. We're going to use this as his beard. Taking your glue, add it right under his nose, and then take your material and glue it just under his nose and on the sides. Hold it in place, and then I'm going to just shape his beard a little bit. Now we want to make him some little arms because he's going to be holding something, so I'm taking my glove again, cutting two pieces off for both arms. These are my pieces. Take your hot glue and just glue them together. Kind of shape it a little bit as well. Cutting off this bit here so it looks more like a sleeve. That's one arm done. This one's going to need gluing on both sides. So I'm starting with one side. Ouch. I always burn myself with hot glue. And then the other side. And add some glue at the end of the sleeve. Take a small wooden bead and stick it on. There's his little arm. So adorable. I really want to get the beads without holes in, but this is all I've got right now. We're going to glue his arm on now. Look, he's waving and saying hi to you all. Doing the same on everything's sticking to the hot glue gun today. I'm doing the same for his other arm. add his little hand and then stick that to the side. You don't actually have to create this arm because this is really the only arm you will see, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And there you go, we've made our little own gnome doll. Isn't he precious? I think the amount that he's got, the space that we've left, is just perfect for him. There you go. And you might be wondering, well, what is he going to be holding? Well, you've actually seen from the thumbnail. So we're going to work on that next, which is making use of the embroidery hoop. We're going to be adding some baubles as though they are balloons. So take your baubles. I'm going to be using a few different sizes. And let's see, start with a bigger size. You can remove these little bits, adding hot glue to the back of your bauble, sticking it onto the embroidery hoop. And then we'll take a smaller one, and I'm going to be playing with the different textures as well. So again, I'm taking this part off. Sticking them down at different angles as well. So we're going to be adding the wire to the balloons next. So this is the wire that I'm going to be using. Have a look at how much you need in terms of length, and it's all going to differ because of the angles. So the first piece I'm going to cut around here, and you can actually stick them into the bauble if they're a little bit too long. My pliers don't work very well. So this one is going to be my main one, this balloon here, and I'm actually going to use the hole that I've got in his hand to stick the wire in. I just wanted to show you, I added some hot glue to the top and also to the bottom, even though it fits in the little hole in his hand, but I just wanted to make sure that it's extra secure because this is going to be the foundation balloon. The rest I'm going to kind of stick the wires down like this onto this one here. So we're going to go and cut some more wire with my really crappy pliers that don't really work that well. I'm actually making sure I don't straighten out all my wires because it looks more realistic that way of a balloon. So again, taking a little drop of hot glue just to ensure that's stuck in the balloon there, and then we'll add some more hot glue at the bottom. So you can see how we're going to be building the balloons with the wires. We've got quite a lot to go. So I think I'm going to do the rest off camera, seeing as you've grasped the concept by now, and I'll come back when I'm done. I'm back! So I haven't added like all of the wires for the back ones. I've just made sure I did the front and then the second row. And I just wanted to make sure that you realise that when you're doing the wires on some of them, you need to bring them to the back and not to the front, so it just looks more realistic. So I'm finishing off with a bow. I think I'm going to add it right here. So here's our completed centerpiece. Isn't it so adorable? You have to let me know what you think in the comments. I had so much fun making it. It was a bit of a longer project, but come on, I mean, look at that little gnome. He is so cute. I think this is beautiful as decor. It's something great to make and sell or to gift to someone. Thank you so much for watching. Take care for now. Bye.